I think some of the main accomplishments of Womenomics is getting this idea that we do need to focus on putting more women into the workforce and promoting them and supporting them into the everyday dialogue. So 10 years ago, for example, this was not something that was commonly discussed. Now it is so commonly discussed, we're a little bit worried that people are going to be fatigued with talking about Womenomics a little bit too much. But they forget that this is a journey. This is a journey, it's not a destination. If you consider that parity between the genders is your destination, then I think you're forgetting the fact that we'll never fully have parity all the time. But if this is the journey, this is where we're headed to, how are we going to get there? So one of the biggest accomplishments has been we're not talking anymore about why we should be doing this. Why do we need support women? Can women take on jobs and support families? We're talking about how. How can we practically get enough women who are both willing to and able accept board positions in companies, who are both willing to and able be senior executives and potentially also have families of their own if they so desire. So I think one of the great accomplishments has been not only from the company perspective answering that why and focusing on the how, but also for women, everyday women themselves. They can now look and say, I have this option. Whereas I didn't have this option before. The path might still be challenging, but I have the option now to decide to push forward with a career and still have a family. Now, it's very complicated to say that you can have it all. I personally don't think that anyone can have it all at the same time. However, what I think one of the biggest accomplishments of Womenomics has been is saying you can try and have it all. You can definitely have that opportunity, just like men. And I think that is probably one of the best things that have happened from Womenomics. Now, the challenges are still there. We are not nearly where we should be. We need to much more aggressively approach this topic. We could put quotas in, which are always contentious, but I would prefer that we're not putting in quotas and instead we are more actively trying to build up that workforce. It doesn't happen overnight, certainly. We're not going to have 50% of women ready for senior executive roles. But if we roadmap this out and we decide that within a certain period of time, we do want to hit certain targets, certain goals, then we have to backtrack from there and say, well, if we're going to get 30% of women on boards, for example, or 30% of women in senior exec positions, then we have to put a plan. The same way we would put a plan for any product that we're designing, for any new innovation in our company. So in order to do that for companies, I think they need to know that it's okay to focus on this. The challenge then is people worry and companies worry about slighting the men. They worry about giving a woman a job in a position that she might not be able to do. And I think these are very natural worries. So putting in place the mechanisms and the controls within the company, putting in place very, very solid HR practices that are looking to help build capability internally. I think these are some practical measures that can be taken and should be more actively taken within companies. There's been a lot more talk than action in some companies, and I think it's time really to push forward.